Zhu Honggong was all smiles. He stood behind Si Wuya and massaged Si Wuya's shoulders with great care. He pounded on Si Wuya's back softly with his fleshy fists from time to time as he asked. Ronshi, 7th senior brother, with your brains, it shouldn't be difficult for you to retrieve the crystal for Master. Right. Si Wuya turned to look at Zhu Honggong. He said, Old 8th, have you become unswervingly loyal to the evil Sky Pavilion already? Upon hearing this, Zhu Honggong chuckled and said, I think the evil Sky Pavilion is a much better place compared to before. Look at the 4 pavilions. There are more people here now. There are food, drinks, and places to sleep. If you so wish, you can have a young lady by your side to accompany you to watch the sunrise or the sunset. There are also a few shameless old farts who brag every day. Si Wuya regarded Zhu Honggong with skepticism and did not say anything. Based on his expression, he clearly did not understand Zhu Honggong's words. Zhu Honggong continued to say, I like the way things are right now. Si Wuya pushed Zhu Honggong's fleshy hands away and said, Are you trying to find out about Crystal's location from me? I'm not, honest. Si Wuya said, There are 5 nations in Ronshi. There are Wuxian, Lulan, Sushan, Changgu, and Kagong. Master was the one who lost the crystal. Where are we supposed to begin looking for it among the 5 nations? Besides, nobody can guarantee that the crystal hasn't been opened. Perhaps, it has already found its way to the 7 nations of the other tribes in Rongbei. If Master's the one who sealed it, I think it won't be easy for anyone to unseal it. Zhu Honggong said as he scratched his head. As 4th senior brother has said, how can any of you be sure that your judgments aren't wrong? Nothing is certain in this world, Si Wuya said. Zhu Honggong nodded his head in agreement. However, he soon found a flaw in this reasoning. In that case, why didn't you tell the truth? Master won't deliberately make things difficult for you. The truth might sound offensive in Master's ears. Si Wuya replied. Quote. Si Wuya's voice had barely faded when a cold scoff rang from outside the cave. 7th senior brother, to think that I'd spoken in your favor. Is that what you think of Master? Little Yuanair appeared at the mouth of the cave in green robes. She looked at Si Wuya with a slightly annoyed expression as she said. If it weren't for Master, you would have died. Little junior sister. Si Wuya seemed awkward. I didn't mean it that way. Sure you did. Little Yuana's breathing seemed to grow heavy with rage as she said. You pompous prick. Then, she spun on her heels and left without waiting for an explanation from Si Wuya. Zhu Honggong and Si Wuya exchanged a glance. Si Wuya sighed and said, Even little junior sister misunderstood me. Zhu Honggong did not dare to say anything. Si Wuya shook his head. Another person made no difference. He was used to this. Old 8th, tell me about the current situation of the evil Sky Pavilion. Oh, Zhu Honggong scratched his head and said, Let's start with the old farts. Then, ... Inside the Eastern Pavilion. After meditating on the heavenly writing scrolls, Lu Zhou sensed that his extraordinary power was almost replenished. He felt slightly relieved. He stood up and looked at the old parchment drawing on his table. Apart from the clearly labeled locations, the rest was still a blur. He could not see anything. However, the outline of Wuxian Mountain was much clearer now. Is Yu Shangrong on Wuxian Mountain? Lu Zhou thought to himself as he stroked his beard. After pondering about it for a moment, he decided that there was no point dwelling on it for now. Hence, he turned around and sat with his legs crossed again. He opened the system's dashboard and checked his remaining merit points. Merit points, 44.200. He needed more than 50.000 merit points to purchase the 100 Tribulations Insight avatar. Without putting much thought into it, he said in a low voice, Lucky draw. Ding. Spent 50 merit points. Obtained reversal card X10. Reversal cards. Lu Zhou understood now. In the early stages, the rate to win a grand prize was high in lucky draws. Now, it was providing rewards in line with the user's needs. Would you give me an avatar? Lu Zhou did 20 consecutive draws. He was thanked for his participation 20 times. Feeling helpless, he gave up trying. It had been a long time since he had won something of value from the lucky draws. Recently, he had been getting reversal cards. Lu Zhou checked his item column. He gritted his teeth and bought 2 deadly strike cards. With that, he had spent 6.000 merit points. As for the others, forget it. He did not think that they were worth buying compared to the Deadly Strike cards. The Deadly Strike card was his true trump card for now. Lu Zhou was still mulling over his next move when Zhao Yue appeared outside the Eastern Pavilion. Master, a letter from Jiang Ijian. Read it. Zhao Yue unfolded the letter and read aloud. Old senior, there are two things that I wish to clarify. First, I've made some headway with the investigations of the palace's nine-leaf research. Indeed, someone's been researching the nine-leaf stage in the palace. However, it's being done with great secrecy, and my sources can't seem to find out anything else. The only thing we know is that there's a huge dark faction in the divine capital doing it. And they're very guarded. In my opinion, they must be annoyed to no end when you spread word about severing one's golden lotus to attain the nine-leaf stage. Old senior. Second, the Noble Path is starting their fiend extermination plan. You should be careful. Lastly, what did you think of Li Jingyi's presence in Liang Province's city? Ha ha ha. Zhao Yue's expression turned slightly unnatural after she finished reading the letter. She said, Master, Jiang Ijian's letter reminded me of something. Let's hear it. When I was in the palace, I heard someone say that the current emperor has never appeared in court. When my royal grandmother was sick, not once did I see the emperor. Eunuch Li told me that the emperor is tied down with various affairs and important matters. I wonder what could be more important than the situation in Liang Province City and my royal grandmother's health. Zhao Yue was clearly puzzled. Lu Zhou's voice rang from inside. Indeed, he has more important matters to attend to. There were always those who valued a certain thing over others. Sometimes, they would even sacrifice the people around them. When Zhao Yu heard this, she shuddered inwardly. She recalled her time in the palace. Apart from rules and restrictive etiquettes, there was nothing but coldness. It felt like there was no human touch in the palace at all. 10 days later, the news about severing one's golden lotus to attain the nine-leaf stage spread further and further away. After a period of quarrels and arguments, the Lai faction grew larger. The Lai faction was of the opinion that severing one's golden lotus was a big hoax. The basis for their opinion was that as many as 10 cultivators had died after severing the golden lotuses during the past 10 days. The trial faction insisted those people had died because they were on the brink of death anyway. Those people could not survive the damages incurred from severing the golden lotuses since they were weak to begin with. Both factions were firm in their beliefs. There were also cultivators who proposed more advanced theories about severing the golden lotus. The theories were along the lines of severing a golden lotus before it sprouted leaves or shattering the avatar and abandoning the golden lotus. Among others. Under the Melalot graveyard, it was pitch black. Yu Shangrong had forgotten how long he had been here. He flipped his hand, and a little golden avatar appeared above his palm. He felt he had enough primal chi to attempt sprouting the second leaf. Open. A radiant circle appeared around the avatar and traveled downward. Unlike before, the radiant circle did not drop all the way to the base of the avatar's feet. Yu Shangrong had understood an important point. Since he would sprout leaves without a golden lotus, he could just disregard the golden lotus. As his primal chi surged, the radiant circle seemed to be filled with energy. His avatar completely illuminated the dry well. In all aspects, Sword Devil Yu Shangrong was a rare sword genius in the cultivation world. Whether it was Mobei's sword slave Wang Heichao, the first sword of King Province's Taoist master Wang, the western region's Lu Lan's sword emperor Yue Zhengrong, all of them had died by his sword. There were too many cultivators who liked to cultivate the sword, but those who reached great heights were few and far in between. Yu Shangrong knew every step like the back of his hands. He could feel his avatar's power growing as it grew taller and bigger. Radiant circles of energy moved downward with smaller gaps between them. The resonance of his avatar grew louder as well. Whiz, whiz, whiz. Yu Shangrong was now calmer compared to when he was sprouting his first leaf. He was convinced he would be able to reach the 8-leaf stage even without his golden lotus. It was just a matter of time. As more energy poured in, boom, a loud explosion sounded, and Yu Shangrong's avatar grew bigger. A 2-leaf avatar had a height of about 20 feet. When his avatar grew, It was only natural that the little well was unable to contain it. Fortunately, avatars were formed from energy. It was up to him if he wanted the avatar to destroy his surroundings. Boom! His energy crashed against the walls before everything returned to normal. Yu Shangrong raised a hand with primal chi shrouding it before he converted it to energy. A shining golden light illuminated his surroundings again. He studied the melalots. Unfortunately, it was impossible for them to survive in the dry well for such a long time. They had already withered. The short-lived people of the nobleman country never gave up on their pursuit for longevity. This was the case in the past and in the present. There was a time when Yu Shangrong had been contemptuous of this pursuit. He was of the opinion that death was part of the cycle of life. Everyone would die at some point after all. Later in life, he began to realize the value of being alive. Yu Shangrong summoned his 100 Tribulations Insight avatar again. Whiz! A miniature avatar without a golden lotus floated in front of him. 2 leaves surrounded the avatar now. He had clearly entered the 2-leaf stage of the nascent divinity tribulation realm. Yu Shangrong smiled. That went well enough. The sprouting of the first leaf had been a gamble as it was fraught with uncertainties. However, the second leaf had proven that it was possible to continue cultivating even after severing one's golden lotus. Yu Shangrong looked up. He tried to sense his longevity sword's location after circulating his primal chi. BZZT, BZZT, BZZT. The longevity sword vibrated slightly before becoming motionless again. Not quite there yet. Yu Shangrong sat down and crossed his legs again. The time needed and difficulty of sprouting another leaf from this stage onward would multiply. However, he currently had no other choice other than to quickly raise his cultivation base in this dry well. Second senior brother, a voice reached Yu Shangrong's ears from outside the mountain. It sounded faint and distant, mixed with the noise from the snowstorm. He would have missed it if he was not carefully listening. Yu Shangrong's ears twitched. He projected his voice with primal chi and said, "Sixth junior sister, second senior brother. Is it really you?" The snowstorm was still raging outside Wuxian Mountain. The mountains and trees in the area were covered in snow. Yi Tianxin hovered outside Wuxian Mountain in her white robes. Yu Shangrong was surprised. He projected his voice with primal chi again. "Sixth junior sister, this is a remote place. Why are you here?" Yi Tianxin appeared delighted. She looked at Wuxian Mountain and said, "I'm traveling around Great Yan in search of Cheng Huang. I was traveling westward from Mobei and reached the northwestern regions. The people here told me that Wuxian Mountain is in the area. I remember you talking about coming here before, so I decided to drop by. I didn't expect to actually find you here." Yu Shangrong smiled faintly and asked, "Did you manage to find Cheng Huang?" "It's not easy." Yi Tianxin looked at Wuxian Mountain and said, "Second senior brother, I sensed primal chi waves from this spot earlier. It's the same as the aura that killed Zhang Yuenshin on the green jade altar but much weaker." What happened? She knew Yu Shangrong was inside the Wuxian Mountain when she sensed the aura. She was perplexed when she waited but saw no signs of Yu Shangrong. "He should be out by now." Yu Shangrong calmly replied, "I've severed my golden lotus, and I have to sprout my leaves again." Yi Tianxin was, naturally, shocked. She asked incredulously, "Second senior brother, you severed your golden lotus?" "My golden lotus was tainted by witchcraft, so I had to cut it off. From the looks of things now, everything's going well." Yu Shangrong's tone remained casual and calm. "I'll get you out of there." Yi Tianxin let out a burst of energy. A tidal wave of primal chi was changed into energy that landed on Wuxian Mountain. Boom! The blue waves technique blasted a huge rock to smithereens. "There's no need for that." Yu Shangrong stopped her. "Why? I need to sprout my leaves again in the Melalot graveyard. It's not safe for me to go out now." Yu Shangrong said. It was the truth. He had made many enemies in the cultivation world, and they were all powerful individuals. It would be dangerous for him to venture out now. It was better for him to stay here and take his time to cultivate and sprout leaves. It would not be long before he would be at his peak again. Yi Tianxin shook her head and sighed. The entire cultivation world is talking about the method of severing one's golden lotus. Second senior brother, you should have been more patient. You're too reckless. Severing the golden lotus. Yu Shangrong found this odd. I've never told anyone about this. How was this method made public? Yi Tianxin recounted everything that happened and the rumors that had been circulating in the cultivation world. Yu Shangrong was shocked. It's possible to reach the 9-leaf stage after severing the golden lotus. That's right, Yi Tianxin replied. It's true that I've severed my golden lotus. But I never told anyone that it's possible to reach the 9-leaf stage this way. Don't believe the rumor, junior sister. Yu Shangrong remembered how his golden lotus was corrupted by witchcraft. Perhaps, the witchcraft cultivator sensed he was still alive, so the cultivator spread the rumor in hopes to see if cultivators would survive after severing the golden lotuses. Second senior brother, why aren't you injured? Yi Tianxin was puzzled. She really felt it was a shame that she could not see her senior brother with her own eyes. It's a long story, and it's unimportant. Since Yu Shangrong did not want to talk about it, she did not pursue the matter. Moreover, she did not have the courage to sever her golden lotus. Very well. During the next 3 days, Yi Tianxin remained close to Wuxian Mountain and would chat with Yu Shangrong. Although Yu Shangrong's current cultivation base was inferior to Yi Tianxin's, he was more experienced in other matters compared to her. Throughout this period, Yi Tianxin humbled herself to be educated by her senior brother and had gained much. On the 4th day, Yi Tianxin planned to bid farewell to Yu Shangrong. She was going to head west. When Yu Shangrong heard that Yi Tianxin was leaving, he hastily said, 6th junior sister, can you bring one thing back to the evil sky pavilion for me? He raised a palm. An energy seal launched the open heavenly writing scroll out of the well toward the light source. Yi Tianxin sensed the surge of primal qi. She leaped into the air and hovered above Wuxian Mountain. The energy seal brought the open heavenly writing scroll out of Wuxian Mountain. Yi Tianxin moved at lightning speed and caught the open heavenly writing scroll as the energy seal vanished. She did not descend immediately. Instead, she landed near the opening from which the scroll flew out. Then, she projected her voice. Second senior brother, what's this? Yu Shangrong could clearly hear Yi Tianxin's voice now. He looked up at the beam of light. Although it was quite a distance away, he could distinctly see a shadow. Her voice reached his ears clearly now. It belongs to Master. Understood. I'll see that it reaches the evil sky pavilion. Yi Tianxin replied. Thank you. There's no need for that. Thank you for enlightening me these few days. Second senior brother. Yi Tianxin bowed in midair. This time, Yu Shangrong did not reply to her. He only closed his eyes. Yi Tianxin's appearance reminded Yu Shangrong that although the mountain was located in a remote place, it did not mean there were no experts around. The waves of energy from him sprouting leaves might attract the attention of some elites. Yi Tianxin tucked the scroll away and flew south. She had to return south before continuing west. Yi Tianxin made her way south. She flew for a day and a night, traversing countless mountains and snow-covered plains before she saw the first signs of a human settlement. She came to halt and hovered in the sky. Her black hair was white from the snow, and she was dressed in all white. If one did not pay close attention, one would not be able to see her. She did not continue flying. A world of black lay before her while a world of white was behind her. The cold place was not always black while the warm place was not always white. After taking in the snowy scenery for a while, she finally continued on her journey. She circulated her primal qi and shot like a meteor toward the human settlement that was faintly discernible in the snow. At this moment, the cultivation theory of severing one's own golden lotus to attain the 9-leaf stage had spread throughout Great Yan's cultivation world. It had also spread to the other tribes in Rongxi and Rongbei. The other tribes had always worshipped the fist. When they learned of this cultivation theory, the 12 nations gathered their nascent divinity cultivators and began experimenting. At a certain relay station in Great Yan, several cultivators were chatting over wine. After 3 rounds of drinks, they were running out of conversational topics. Comrade, you're saying that severing one's golden lotus is the way to attain the 9-leaf stage. However, you're claiming that it's a pseudo 9-leaf stage. What do you mean by that? One of the cultivators asked a man who was dressed in bizarre clothes. What else could it be other than a pseudo 9-leaf stage? How can an avatar be an avatar without a golden lotus? Who knows if one can form a golden lotus again after severing it? Perhaps, if it's possible, then, one could be considered as attaining the true 9-leaf stage. The man in the bizarre clothes replied. You have a point. However, the problem is, can anyone survive after severing the golden lotuses? There must be a way around that. There are many who will die regardless if they sever the golden lotuses or not. If it were you, you'd give it a try as well. No, you have a point. At this moment, a man on the side cupped his fists at the man in bizarre clothes and said, You're knowledgeable, comrade. May I know your name? Well, my name's of no significance. But my surname is Ri. Comrade Ri, listening to your speech is better than reading for a decade. Ming Shi Yin shook his head. He had no choice but to accept the compliment. He said, You mentioned that the 10 great sects have rallied together and formed the Fiend Extermination Alliance. Well, technically, it's only 7 great sects right now. The Righteous Sect, Clarity Sect, and Heavenly Sword Sect have been annihilated a long time ago. Someone said. Ming Shi Yin said disapprovingly, Aren't the 7 great sects actively seeking deaths by challenging the evil Sky Pavilion? Upon hearing Ming Shi Yin's words, the others turned to look at him. They did not agree with Ming Shi Yin's words. The moment his voice faded, Comrade Ri, the evil Sky Pavilion's patriarch's great limit aside, the 7 great sects aren't what they used to be. Oh, Ming Shi Yin behaved as though he was willing to listen to him speak. Think about it. The 10 great sects had failed numerous times in their attempts to defeat the evil Sky Pavilion. They had failed terribly twice. This time, they'll surely be more cautious. I'm sure they would be better prepared as well. Ming Shi Yin nodded. You have a point. The other sects aside, 2 days ago, the disciples of the Duanlan branch managed to invite their patriarch out of seclusion. Patriarch, the Sword Devil, Yu Shangrong, killed their sect master, Chang Jian. Their patriarch, Chang Yan, has no choice but to make a move. The senior will surely not let this matter slide. Not when his young heir was killed. Ming Shi Yin laughed when he heard this. He said mockingly, He has 1 foot in the coffin. How is he going to oppose the evil Sky Pavilion? I remember that Chang Yan's cultivation base has already deteriorated. Right. The man sitting opposite Ming Shi Yin furtively looked to his left and right before he said, Those are different times. Do you know why nobody is giving the Duanlan branch trouble although it isn't protected by any barriers? Isn't it because of the heavenly moat? What good would a moat do? It's because, the man lowered his voice and said, the Duanlan branch is in possession of many primal fiend potions. Ming Shi Yin widened his eyes as he looked at the man and said, The Duanlan branch isn't a major branch. The 10 great sects are but a joke. Where did they get the primal fiend potions from? I don't know. But that's what I heard. Anyway, the man said with a chuckle. Do you know about the other members of the Fiend Extermination Alliance? Then, Ming Shi Yin asked. The others are minor sects that are too insignificant to mention. The larger sects are busy studying the theory of severing the Golden Lotus. At this point, Ming Shi Yin finally rose to his feet and said, Thanks. The man grinned and said, Comrade Ri, do you think you can be so kind as to pay the tab for us? The others looked at Ming Shi Yin hopefully. They had been sharing a lot of information with the man with the surname Ri over the past few days. He even went on and on about how powerful the 9 villains were. Especially Ming Shi Yin, the 4th villain. It was interesting to listen to him speak in the beginning. But they slowly grew bored. Since he had obtained all kinds of information from them, it was not too much to ask him to pay for their bill. Right. Ming Shi Yin glanced at all of them before he said, What are you talking about? I'm being magnanimous by not asking you to pay for my drinks. And yet, you want me to pay for your drinks? He did not wait for their replies and left as soon as he finished speaking. The others were dumbfounded. The Evergreen Palace in the Divine Capital. Lu Gu held a brush to a piece of paper in his study as usual. With swift and forceful strokes, he wrote the words, Unify 10,000 tribes. An attendant entered the study at this moment. He kneeled before he said, Your Majesty, the results of the first group of cultivators who attempted to sever the golden lotuses are out. Let's hear it. There are 10 cultivators who severed the golden lotuses. There was 1 3-leaf, 5 2-leafs, and 4 1-leaf cultivators. 9 of them died from the pain, and only 1 survived. A hint of excitement could be heard in the attendant's voice when he spoke. Lu Gu was still wielding his brush as he said in a deep voice. Repeat. There were 10 cultivators. The final part. 1 survived. The attendant said. The muscles on Lu Gu's cheek clearly twitched. A hint of excitement could be seen in his eyes. He had carried out the experiment to determine if it were possible to survive after severing one's golden lotus. After years of research, he knew that golden lotuses absorbed both power and life. If a cultivator could live after severing his golden lotus, this problem was solved. Lu Gu was the monarch of an empire. He held the reins of Great Yan in his hands. When he heard this, he could hardly remain unmoved. Throughout the years, he had racked his brains researching the 9-leaf stage. He had experimented with life and various unconventional methods, but none of them succeeded. He was starting to grow apathetic. However, now, it seemed like his research was showing results. How could he not feel excited? Congratulations, Your Majesty, the attendant said. The survivor has a strong build. His talent and foundations are better than the rest. That's why he survived. I've sent the imperial physician to tend to him. Very good. Lu Gu gave a high compliment. The attendant was overjoyed to hear this. Lu Gu said again, keep him alive, no matter the cost. Understood. Compensate the families of the deceased according to the agreement. Lu Gu said, understood. The divine capital had always kept these experiments a secret. Nobody knew about it. This time was no exception. The attendant left the study cautiously, looked to the left and right, and headed in a different direction. Inside the study, Lu Gu felt more invigorated than he had ever been. If one can survive after severing the golden lotus, what about sprouting leaves? They had to do more experiments regarding the next step. It was now proven that it was possible to survive after severing one's golden lotus. They could work to improve the survival rate, whether it was with the help of pills or arcane arts. So long as the cultivator was alive, he could sprout leaves again. Lu Gu looked at the words he wrote. Unify 10,000 tribes. He felt heroic and passionate at this moment. When I'm at the 9-leaf stage, even if there are 10 nether sects, they will be nothing to me. In the eastern pavilion of the Evil Sky Pavilion, Lu Zhou stood up slowly after meditating on the heavenly writing scrolls. The heavenly writing's extraordinary power was completely replenished. At this moment, Xiao Yue's voice rang from outside the pavilion. Master, someone's at the foot of the mountain to deliver something to you. What is it? A parcel. I think it's some sort of document, and some dessert. Dessert? Lu Zhou's curiosity was piqued. All these years, none of his disciples had ever offered to make delicious treats for him. The situation had only improved when the female disciples of the derived Moon Palace chose to stay on the mountain. Bring it to me. Understood. Xiao Yue opened the doors carefully. She saw her master standing before the French windows. She placed the document and desserts on the table. Lu Zhou turned around to look at the delivered items. When he saw the special papers, he walked over with a slightly shocked expression on his face. It was the open heavenly writing scroll. Ding! Obtained open heaven writing. Back. Will you combine the open heavenly writing scrolls? The system's notification proved Lu Zhou right. He was not in a hurry to merge the heavenly writing scrolls. Instead, he looked at the Tuckahoe pies at the side. Xiao Yue smiled. It seems like these are sent by 6th junior sister. Tuckahoe pies were one of the desserts Yi Tiangxin was most skilled at making. When Yi Tiangxin was still on the mountain, she frequently made them for her master. Also, it was thanks to this that Yi Tiangxin obtained the amorous hoop that she wanted ahead of time. Lu Zhou was surprised that Yi Tiangxian still remembered this. Alas, the current Ji Tiandao was no longer the Ji Tiandao of old. He did not like Tuckahoe pies. Hence, he waved his hand and said, share it among yourselves. Xiao Yue said in confusion. But 6th junior sister made them for you. I dare not accept it. I have no appetite. Lu Zhou blurted out the first excuse that came to his mind. When Xiao Yue heard this, she bowed and said, thank you, master. However, inwardly, she was worried. Master's losing his appetite. It's said that this often happens in old age. Is master's great limit truly near? Aside from cultivating, Xiao Yue would also keep up with the news in the outside world. It was only natural for her to worry. What with all the rumors being circulated? She was not the only one who was worried about Lu Zhou. The other disciples and the old age pavilion had often discussed their plan should the noble path come knocking. Xiao Yue took the Tuckahoe pies and said, "There's a letter as well." "I see." Lu Zhou glanced at the letter inside the parcel. Xiao Yue dared not stay for a moment longer. She left the room respectfully. Lu Zhou picked up the letter, opened it, and scanned through it. It read, "Dear Master, your disciple, Yi Tiangxin, delivered these items to the Evil Sky Pavilion as requested by Second Senior Brother. Second Senior Brother is afflicted by a curse and has severed his golden lotus. He's now trapped inside the Melilot graveyard and is recuperating there while sprouting his leaves again. Second Senior Brother wants to tell you that everything's fine. Regards, the unfilial rascal, Yi Tiangxin." After reading the letter, Lu Zhou frowned. Primal Qi surged in his hand, and he burned the letter into ashes. So, severing one's golden lotus and surviving is possible. Lu Zhou sat down slowly. He remembered the rumors he heard before this. He shook his head and mumbled to himself. Stubborn. His unyielding attitude was reminiscent of a young Yu Shangrong. He would always solve and carry the problem he encountered on his own. At the moment, the Noble Path was forming an alliance to attack Golden Court Mountain. Lu Zhou initially wanted to summon the Old Age Pavilion to discuss the matter of severing golden lotuses. Then, he thought it would only be detrimental to the Evil Sky Pavilion if word of it got out. Besides, the success cases were too few and could hardly serve as references. Since the theory was already widespread, all he had to do was wait for the results. At this moment, Zhu Honggong appeared outside the pavilion. He bowed and said, "Greetings, Master. Come in." Lu Zhou stood with his hands on his back and walked to the window before looking out. Zhu Honggong opened the doors and entered. He bowed again as he said, "Master, I have good news." "Let's hear it." "I've learned much about the memory crystal from 7th Senior Brother." Based on Zhu Honggong's current expression, he was clearly waiting to be praised. Lu Zhou turned to look at Zhu Honggong and said again, "Let's hear it." Zhu Honggong relied on Si Wuya the most when he was on Tigerage Mountain. Si Wuya had secretly helped Zhu Honggong on more than one occasion as well. The two of them were closer than most. It was normal for Zhu Honggong to be able to glean information from him. He said that he has no idea about the whereabouts of the crystal. It might be in Rongxi or Rongbei. He has no way of knowing since you were the one who sealed it. Zhu Honggong said. Lu Zhou stroked his beard and nodded. Continue. He said that there are many things that aren't what we think them to be. He's not afraid of being misunderstood or carrying the blame since he's used to it. Zhu Honggong said, "Master, why do I have the feeling that 7th Senior Brother is treating us all like fools?" With his hands behind his back, Lu Zhou said, "He thinks too highly of himself." "That's right. He acts as if he's the smartest man in the world and everyone else is stupid." Zhu Honggong said. Lu Zhou turned around and stared at Zhu Honggong before he said, "Gossiping behind another person's back. Go out and receive your punishment." He had to educate Old Eighth since Old Eighth had this two-faced behavior. When Zhu Honggong heard this, he instantly shuddered. He initially wanted to ask for forgiveness, but when he remembered what his 4th Senior Brother told him, he hastily said, "I've made a mistake." Ding! Punished Zhu Honggong. Reward: 200 merit points. In the afternoon, Lu Zhou appeared in the Cave of Reflection. There was a small crowd gathered outside the cave. The 3 elders of the Old Age Pavilion and his disciples were there as well. Pan Lishan stood up and cupped his fists at Si Wuya as he said, "I've lost this match. My chess skills have always been lacking. Thank you for letting me win." Si Wuya's expression remained unchanged. The matters of the world are like a game of chess. There are times where life experience doesn't translate into superior chess skills. "I'm enlightened." The female disciples around were filled with awe. "Mr. 7th, you're truly intelligent. You're skilled in music, chess, writing, and drawing. Elder Hua has lost. Elder Leng has lost. Even Elder Pan has lost. The game of chess is over. What's the next match going to be? I want to continue watching." As he listened to the female cultivator's discussion, Si Wuya shook his head and said, "There's no need." The others regarded Si Wuya in confusion. Si Wuya said with a calm expression, Having an intense match with a competent opponent is something to be excited about. Forgive me for being blunt, but our exchanges have been slightly boring. The others were embarrassed. If they had won even a single match against Si Wuya, they could have refuted his words. However, he had won from morning until now. The others were thoroughly defeated. The victor would always be in the right. No matter what the loser said, it would only sound like excuses. Just when Si Wuya was about to return to the cave of reflection, Lu Zhou's voice reached his ears. Feeling satisfied with yourself, the others turned around immediately in the direction of his voice. Greetings, Pavilion Master. Greetings, Master. Lu Zhou walked with his hands on his back. The crowd parted for him. Si Wuya did not expect his master to suddenly show up. He humbled his attitude at once. The look of pride on his face faded away as he bowed and said, Master. Lu Zhou walked toward Si Wuya and stood before him. He stared at Si Wuya. Do you think that you're very smart just because you've won against them? I dare not. Lu Zhou glanced at the items around him. There was a mind game that resembled Haorong Road, a die that would normally be seen on a gambling table, and a set of Go. How could the people of the Evil Sky Pavilion win against Si Wuya in these games? When Lu Zhou recruited him, Si Wuya was already a regular at various gambling dens. When he was 10, he was a prodigy whom the gambling dens respected and feared. Lu Zhou kept his eyes on Si Wuya. Si Wuya's pride was different from Yu Shangrung's. Yu Shangrung's pride originated from his bones. It was born out of confidence in and respect for his own sword skills. On the other hand, Si Wuya's pride was not only built upon a sense of self-acclaimed superiority, but it was also built upon tearing others down. This disciple had to be educated and disciplined. Lu Zhou looked at Si Wuya and said, You're adept in solving riddles. I just so happen to have a few that I'd like to consult you about. When he heard the word, consult, Si Wuya fell to his knees in a haste. I've made a mistake. Lu Zhou stroked his beard as he looked at Si Wuya, who had just fallen to his knees, and said, If you can answer me, I'll regard you as my teacher. Si Wuya trembled inwardly. He felt a chill ran up his spine. If his master was anything like his old self, he would have rained down punches and kicks upon him. His master would not have bothered to ask him questions. He could wrap his mind around his master's change in attitude. The others who were watching were also shocked by Lu Zhou's words. Lu Zhou must be confident to say these words to Si Wuya. Si Wuya did not dare to say anything. He did not even dare to look up. Lu Zhou stroked his beard and considered it. As a transmigrator, he could ask questions about calculus, world-class mathematical problems, or conjectures of the school of names. But he felt that it would be meaningless. Apart from thoroughly putting Si Wuya in his place, it was not a good way of educating Si Wuya. It was the duty of a teacher to resolve his students' confusions. After muttering to himself for a while, he finally said, The people in power shouldn't fear a scarcity of resources but rather its unequal distribution. If I only have 8 weapons, how should I distribute them among my disciples? Si Wuya was taken aback. He was at a loss over how to answer the question. The others exchanged glances as well. How were 8 weapons supposed to be divided among 9 disciples? How could the distribution be equal? Would a weapon still be a weapon if it was split? If he killed one of his disciples, would it be even? Answer me, Lu Zhou said commandingly in a deep voice as he looked down at Si Wuya. Lu Zhou seemed to be intentionally putting Si Wuya in a tight spot. But the others thought there was more meaning to this than meets the eye. Would Si Wuya be bold enough to answer? Would he revolt and attempt to become his master's teacher? Everything in the world has a source. In that case, what's the origin of the world? Lu Zhou asked again. Upon hearing this question, Si Wuya shuddered. Lu Zhou said in a deep voice again, Answer me. Were there answers to these questions? The elders of the old age pavilion kept shaking their heads. Let alone them. Even Si Wuya could not answer this question. Many years ago, someone had asked this question in the cultivation world. However, the explanation proposed was so vague that it could be applied in any situation. Since the advent of cultivation theories of the Buddhist, Confucian, and Taoist sects, there had already been heated debates about similar matters. If there had been an answer, there would not have been such a wide gap in understanding. Can't you answer it? Lu Zhou looked down at Si Wuya. Si Wuya shook his head. He would never dare to claim that he was a great scholar. He had the pride, but he did not have the guts. If it's something vague, the others might think that I'm bullying you. Lu Zhou stroked his beard as he pondered on it. He suddenly remembered about the issue of severing the golden lotus. Was the truth valid just because everyone believed it? Galileo experimented with 2 iron balls by allowing them to fall at the same time in his quest to challenge the truth. In a similar way of thinking, was it a must for the golden lotus to exist? Which came first, the chicken or the egg? With these thoughts in mind, Lu Zhou asked again. Cultivators formed golden lotuses to enter the nascent divinity realm and sprout leaves to improve their cultivation bases. Let me ask you this. Which came first, the golden lotus or the leaf? Si Wuya was slightly taken aback. Was this question difficult? It sounded simple enough. When a cultivator formed the 100 Tribulations Insight avatar, it was a given for them to form a golden lotus before sprouting leaves. However, he only dared to answer the question in his heart and not out loud. The others found this strange as well. How can there be leaves without a golden lotus? It's only natural for the golden lotus to exist first. Hua Wudao said. If the method of severing the golden lotus is real, it's also possible for one to sprout leaves before forming a golden lotus. Pan Lishan said. The problem is nobody has succeeded yet. The others began discussing this matter in earnest. When they returned to the topic of severing the golden lotus, they wondered if it was possible that the method was flawed to begin with. Throughout these few days, the Evil Sky Pavilion had also obtained some information from the outside world. So far, those who severed the golden lotuses had died. Si Wuya did not need to answer the question because the answer was obvious. Lu Zhou had expected everyone to have these thoughts. If his second disciple, Yu Shangrong, had not successfully severed his golden lotus, he would not have asked this question. He looked at Si Wuya calmly. All he had to do was throw questions at him. When Yu Shangrong returned, the answer would be obvious. Think carefully before you answer my question. Lu Zhou was about to turn around and return to the Eastern Pavilion when Zhao Yue walked over with a letter in hand. Master, a letter from Jiang Aijian. Read it. Zhao Yue unfolded the letter and read aloud. Old Senior, the method of severing the golden lotus has reached the palace. The palace gathered 100 men to experiment on. During the day, 10 of them severed the golden lotuses, and only 1 person survived. Old Senior, I have a feeling that I'll be witnessing history. Ha ha ha. Zhao Yue did not want to read the letter. She had always been annoyed by the ha 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 at the end of the letter. When she looked up, she discovered everyone was looking at her with a stunned expression. She was annoyed by the ha ha ha, so she was distracted. The end of the letter stated that 1 person survived. Everyone fell silent. Finally, Pan Lishan asked, this means that it's truly possible to survive after severing one's golden lotus. So, the leaf came before the golden lotus. Perhaps, the young cultivators did not understand the question. However, Leng Luo, Pan Lishan, and Hua Wudao realized that the problem lay with the golden lotus. Si Wuya frowned. An incredulous expression could be seen on his face. Just a second ago, he was convinced he had the right answer. However, now, his answer was proven wrong like a slap to his face. This was much more hurtful to him than if he were to be physically beaten. Lu Zhou glanced at Si Wuya. He remained silent and left for the Eastern Pavilion. Safe journey, Master. Safe journey, Pavilion Master. The others merely glanced at Si Wuya before leaving the back of the mountain. Zhu Honggong was the only one who remained. He walked up to Si Wuya's side and said, 7th senior brother, you're finally back. Can't you just lay low for a while? With his master gone, Si Wuya returned to normal. How am I supposed to lay low? Si Wuya asked. These people are outsiders. After all, as an Evil Sky Pavilion disciple, I must never bring shame to the pavilion. Zhu Honggong scratched his head. You seem to have a point. Are you truly unable to answer master's questions? Si Wuya replied with a disapproving tone. It's only a vague question. It's normal for someone to not be able to answer the question. 7th senior brother, have a good rest. I'll be taking my leave. ... When he returned to the Eastern Pavilion, Lu Zhou walked up to the table, picked up his brush, and drew a golden lotus on the paper. After scrutinizing it for a moment, Lu Zhou stroked his beard and nodded. It was proven that severing one's golden lotus was a feasible feat. The next step was to improve the survival rate. Surely, the collective wisdom of the people under the heavens could find a better way to achieve this. Relying on the strength of a group was better than fighting alone. Just when he was about to meditate on the heavenly writing scrolls, he heard a voice from outside. "Greetings, Master. May you live forever and ever. Come in." Lu Zhou, naturally, knew it was Zhu Honggong, his 8th disciple. Zhu Honggong entered the room and kneeled on the ground before he said, "Master, I have a feeling that 7th senior brother isn't quite willing to accept the outcome." Unwilling, Lu Zhou regarded Zhu Honggong in confusion. Even he himself could not answer those questions, let alone Si Wuya. What was there to be unwilling to accept? He says your questions are vague, and that it's normal for anyone to be unable to answer them. Zhu Honggong said tentatively. Lu Zhou frowned. As expected, Si Wuya, this rascal, was a tougher nut to crack than Yu Shangrong. I'll see what I can do about it. He suddenly remembered the fear he felt from being dominated by mathematics. His wizened face twitched despite himself. There was no need to pose the 7 greatest mathematical problems of the world or ask any questions related to high-end technical fields. After all, Lu Zhou could not even prove or answer them himself. At the end of the day, Si Wuya would still be unconvinced. Lu Zhou waved his hand, and a paper flew toward him. He raised his brush and wrote a mathematical problem in this world's language. The paper rustled as the brush flew across the surface. After he finished writing, he put down his brush and said, "Take this to him." "Yes, Master." Zhu Honggong left the room with his master's mathematical problem in his hand. When Zhu Honggong said that he managed to obtain information from Si Wuya, Lu Zhou was skeptical. Si Wuya would never let slip any information to Zhu Honggong if he did not wish to. Rongxi and Rongbei were huge. How was he supposed to look for the memory crystal? Lu Zhou returned to the hall and sat cross-legged on a rush cushion. He went through Tiandao's memories again in a bid to find something related to the memory crystal. Unfortunately, his effort was fruitless. What was sealed in it? Is it Tiandao's secret of attempting the 9-leaf stage? Or is it something else? When Lu Zhou had free time, he recalled what he knew about the lost memories. Firstly, it was about Tiandao's system, which could be inferred from the seamless connection he experienced with the merit points system when he first transmigrated here. Secondly, it was about the memories of the heavenly writing scrolls. This was hinted by the Empress Dowager's use of the heavenly writing scrolls to treat her illness. Thirdly, it was about Tiandao's intention to kill Yu Shangrong. This was told by Yu Shangrong himself at Cloud Shine Nunnery. Fourthly, it was about Tiandao's memories before his death. The final point might be up for debate. After all, it was possible for a person to lose the ability to think on the brink of death, resulting in loss of memories. Perhaps, Tiandao had also become senile, which was just as likely. If Lu Zhou wanted to locate the memory crystal, he would have to discipline Si Wuya well. When he thought about this, he shook his head. After a while, Lu Zhou cleared his mind of distracting thoughts and lifted the final open heavenly writing scroll. Combine. Ding. Combined into a new open heavenly writing scroll. Will you meditate on it? Meditate. With just a thought from Lu Zhou, the 4th completed open heavenly writing scroll dissolved into specks of starlight and entered his body. A faint blue light entered his mind. He instantly felt refreshed in his mind. Extraordinary 8 meridians. Sensory organs. Lu Zhou was puzzled. The sensation of meditating on this open heavenly writing scroll was different from what he experienced when he meditated on the previous 3 scrolls. He clearly felt that his body's extraordinary 8 meridians and functions were better. He called up the system dashboard and took a look at it. Remaining life, 12.754 days. It increased by 3.000 days. It was equivalent to the number days of provided by 10 reversal cards. This is a good reward. This was Lu Zhou's first time obtaining life via an avenue aside from an item card. It also provided him with a valuable clue. Even individuals whose great limit was approaching could prolong their lives. In other words, it was possible to overcome the 1.000 year limit. Lu Zhou closed the system dashboard and began meditating on the new open heavenly writing scroll. Based on his previous experiences, He would obtain a new heavenly writing power with every open heavenly writing scroll. He looked forward to the power he would obtain this time. Zhu Honggong ran to the back of the mountain smugly with the writing paper in his hand. It did not take him long to arrive at the Cave of Reflection. Seventh senior brother. Si Wuya was resting his spirits with his eyes closed as he sat with his back straight in the cave. He did not even bother to ponder on the questions his master left him with. He asked, "What is it?" "This is from master." Zhu Honggong entered the cave and passed the fine writing paper to Si Wuya. Si Wuya received it and scanned the words written on it. There is a pen of ringed pheasants and rabbits. There are 350 heads and 940 feet. How many ringed pheasants and rabbits are there? Zhu Honggong scratched his head and asked. Seventh senior brother, what does it say? Si Wuya ignored him. His attention had already been captured by this question. He quickly became absorbed in the question, and his mind quickly went to work. Zhu Honggong saw that Si Wuya was lost in thought and did not dare to disturb him. Hence, he waited quietly at the side. What seemed like hours passed, and he dozed off. When he finally opened his eyes, it was already dark. Si Wuya regained his senses as well at this moment. Eighth junior brother, here, I'm here. Zhu Honggong stretched as he yawned. You should go back and rest. I'll give you the answer in the morning. Oh, Zhu Honggong nodded before he left the Cave of Reflection. When he was outside, he turned back to have a look. Seventh senior brother must have lost his mind. It's just a stupid question. Why is he so worked up about it? Early the next morning, Lu Zhou opened his eyes slowly. He felt rejuvenated and a sense of comfort that he could not find the words for. Perhaps, it was due to the new open heavenly writing scroll. Lu Zhou had a slight physical transformation as well. He looked at his own silver mane. There were more dark strands now. If he compared his current appearance to when he had just transmigrated, the change was extremely huge. However, compared to yesterday, not much had changed. Ding! Instructed Si Wuya. Reward. 200 merit points. It worked. Lu Zhou rose to his feet and walked to the table. He picked up his brush again and wrote. The sound of paper rustling rang in the air. When he finished writing, he called for someone to summon Zhu Honggong over. Greetings, master, Zhu Honggong said enthusiastically. Come in. Zhu Honggong walked into the room. He saw his master placing the brush on the table. Then, he chuckled and said, Master, seventh senior brother couldn't solve your riddle even when he worked throughout the day. I saw dark circles around his eyes when I left him. Lu Zhou was slightly taken aback. From what he gathered from Ji Tiandao's memories, the mathematical level in this world was not advanced at all. The people here would not know how to solve this question like people in the modern world. However, such a riddle should not pose a great difficulty to Si Wuya. Why did he have trouble solving it? Take the paper on the table to him. Yes, master. The answer to the previous question and a new question are on the paper. Understood. Zhu Honggong left the Eastern Pavilion with the answer and new question in hand. He arrived at the Cave of Reflection after a while. When he entered the Cave of Reflection, he saw Si Wuya, who did not seem to be in good spirits, nodding to himself. This is an intriguing question indeed. Si Wuya said. Greetings, seventh senior brother. Zhu Honggong greeted Si Wuya. Si Wuya turned around and grabbed Zhu Honggong as he asked. Did master truly come up with this question? Of course, I saw him writing it down with my own eyes. Zhu Honggong said confidently. Si Wuya was slightly shocked. He was puzzled as well. Master doesn't strike me as the intellectual type. Zhu Honggong coughed dryly. Si Wuya realized what he had just said. He quickly added, Fortunately, I managed to solve the riddle overnight. That's amazing, seventh senior brother. Zhu Honggong gave him a thumbs up. It's nothing. If Si Wuya was honest, he was not completely satisfied with his own solution to the problem. After all, the problem seemed simple enough. And yet, it took him an entire night to solve the problem. He had thought even the dumbest the method, to literally round up the animals and count them, would have been faster. This is from master. Zhu Honggong handed Si Wuya a fine piece of paper. Si Wuya had been feeling slightly dispirited before this. However, when he saw there was a new problem to be solved, he instantly became invigorated. He read the first words aloud. 120 rabbits and 230 ringed pheasants. Si Wuya was shocked. Master knows the answer as well. He had gotten the same answer as well. Although he managed to solve it, he was not happy at all. Zhu Honggong said like it was a matter of course. Master came up with the question. It's only natural that he knows the answer to it. Si Wuya read further down the paper. There is currently an unknown number of objects. If counted in threes, 2 will be left. If counted in fives, 3 will be left. If counted in sevens, 2 will be left. How many objects are there? Si Wuya frowned deeply after he read the question. This riddle was on par with the previous one. After Si Wuya read the problem, his exhaustion was swept away. He felt invigorated. It was not difficult for young people to stay up all night, let alone a young cultivator. However, his cultivation base had been sealed, so he felt the strain of working through the night. After a night, there were clearly dark circles around his eyes. However, when he read the new question, he felt as though he was injected with an energy booster and immediately began to work on the problem. He would not bother with it if it were someone else. However, his master had come up with this problem. He felt extremely motivated. Zhu Honggong was speechless when he saw Si Wuya's reactions. He mused inwardly. This is bad. 7th senior brother is obsessed. What is he going to do after he solves this question? After a while, he waved his hand, trying to catch Si Wuya's attention. 7th senior brother. However, Si Wuya behaved as though Zhu Honggong was invisible. Zhu Honggong sighed softly before he carried his jiggly belly and left the cave of reflection with his hands on his back. He felt great being given the opportunity to walk like a boss. As soon as he emerged from the cave of reflection, he saw Pan Zheng and Zhou Jifeng walking toward him. Greetings, Mr. 8th, both of them said in unison. Zhu Honggong immediately put on air. He cleared his throat and sternly asked, "What is it?" "Nothing much. We're just here to have a look. I heard that Mr. 7th has been working on a question the entire night. We're interested to see it for ourselves." Pan Zheng replied, "If you have free time, you should cultivate." Zhu Honggong rolled his eyes at them before he tossed the paper he brought with him to Pan Zheng and Zhou Jifeng. "Thank you, Mr. 8th. It did not take long before the question spread in the Evil Sky Pavilion. The people lacked entertainment on the mountain. Aside from cultivating, their time was spent on meals, the toilet, and sleeping. Indeed, they needed some fun. When they were suddenly given such a question, everyone began to earnestly study it. Lu Zhou had been meditating on the heavenly writing scrolls in his room. He was unaware that his casual question had attracted so much attention. It was early in the morning. The sky had not even brightened when Lu Zhou heard 2 notifications. Ding! Instructed Si Wuya. Reward: 200 merit points. Ding! Instructed Si Wuya. Reward: 200 merit points. Lu Zhou was surprised to receive 2 notifications. He was intrigued. Looks like I'll have to come up with more questions to instruct this rascal. I'll show him that there's always something or someone greater. At this moment, Zhu Honggong's voice rang from outside. "Greetings, Master. Come in." After spending time with Lu Zhou again, Zhu Honggong no longer behaved stiffly in front of Lu Zhou. He appeared more relaxed. When he entered the room, he saw Lu Zhou sitting cross-legged. He bowed and said, "Master, 7th senior brother has solved the problem you gave him yesterday. His answer is the same as yours." Lu Zhou's expression remained unchanged. That question was just like an appetizer. After all, he was surprised to be awarded with merit points. "What about the second question?" Lu Zhou asked. "I think 7th senior brother has solved it. I'm sure it was difficult for him though. Seeing how he scratches his head can work it out." Zhu Honggong replied. "Take that paper on the table and give it to him." "Yes, Master." Zhu Honggong brought the answer to the second question and the third question to the Cave of Reflection. 7th senior brother, here's the answer and the third question. Si Wuya immediately took the paper from Zhu Honggong. Then, he said with a sigh after comparing the answer with his own. "Interesting. Truly interesting." Zhu Honggong looked at the stone table inside the Cave of Reflection. He was surprised to see there were 2 holes. 7th senior brother, you did that. "I couldn't help myself," Si Wuya said, his eyes still fixed on the paper's contents. Seventh senior brother, you should stop working on these questions. It's boring. Get out. Si Wuya's voice sounded cold. Zhu Honggong was taken aback. I'll take my leave then. After Zhu Honggong left, Si Wuya calmed down and mumbled to himself. 23, 128, 233. I've only calculated one. I've never seen Master's way of solving the question. My horizons have been widened. The solution written on the paper not only contained the answer, but it contained hypothetical variables as well. For an intelligent person like Si Wuya, any inspiration to the solution of a problem was akin to anointing his head with the purest oil. How could he not feel shocked when he saw the content of the paper? As for the third question, Si Wuya was stunned for a very long time after reading it. It was only now that he realized the first two questions were only appetizers. On the third paper, there was a triangle, a circle, and symbols that Si Wuya did not recognize. He did not understand them. It was only natural since the question was advanced geometry and algebra. Even Lu Zhou had a headache when he encountered these questions before he transmigrated. Let alone Si Wuya, who has never been exposed to such things in his life. This was the fear of being dominated that countless students experienced. Ding! Instructed Si Wuya. Reward: 200 merit points. When he heard the third notification, Lu Zhou nodded in satisfaction. Even I'm troubled by that question. Let alone you. The third question involved advanced algebra and geometry. For a world that lacked mathematical concepts, any ordinary man would feel like he was reading the heavenly writing when he saw this. Si Wuya was not an ordinary man. Surely, given time, he would be able to understand this. After a moment, Lu Zhou closed his eyes and continued meditating on the heavenly writing scroll. In the afternoon, the others in the Evil Sky Pavilion had given up on finding a solution to the question. The lack of solution after such a long time was an excruciating experience. At dusk, Si Wuya stared blankly at the question on the table. It was as if he had turned stupid. This was a normal reaction when someone encountered a difficult situation. One's confidence would definitely suffer a blow, and it would lead one to self-doubt. Si Wuya was no exception to this. He was unaware the others had long given up on solving the problem. The third day, the fourth day, and the fifth day passed. Si Wuya was still studying the question on the paper. The more he studied it, the more he realized how complex it was. Lu Zhou's meditation of the heaven writing scroll went smoothly. He had already replenished the heavenly writing's extraordinary power earlier on. He still did not know what the fourth heavenly writing's power was. Since he had been meditating, he was certain the prices of the item cards must have gone up as well. As expected, when he tapped on the item column, he found that all the cards' prices had increased by 500 points or more. He was still cursing at the system inwardly when a voice rang from outside. Master, seventh senior brother would like to meet you. Lu Zhou's expression did not change when he heard these words. After all, he did not think it was possible for that rascal to solve this problem. Why? Seventh senior brother would like to ask for your opinion on the solution to the question. He's asking for someone else's opinion. Zhu Honggong could discern the annoyance in his master's tone. He hastily said, I'll convey your message to him immediately. After Zhu Honggong left, Lu Zhou looked out the window. He was sure that he could handle Si Wuya. Throughout the next few days, Lu Zhou took the incremental approach. He slowly raised the difficulty of his questions. He did not expect Si Wuya to actually solve them. He wanted Si Wuya to understand the meaning behind the questions. There was no end to learning. The more he understood mathematics, the more he would understand the mysteries within. Inside the cave of reflection, Si Wuya was behaving in a manner that Lu Zhou had expected him to. As he gained a deeper understanding of the questions, he realized that they were much more complicated than he had expected. His appearance had changed drastically. He was so tormented by the question that he seemed like a lunatic with disheveled hair as he focused on the question. I can't bear to see Mr. Seventh becoming like this. Pan Zheng merely glanced at Si Wuya before he turned around to leave. Those questions are demented. They make my hair stand on end. You can't even understand them. Just when Pan Zheng and Zhou Jifeng were about to leave the area, a female cultivator came running toward them. Pan Zheng asked with a frown. What's the matter? Princess Yong Ning's condition has worsened. Someone has gone to report this to the pavilion master. I'm here to inform Mr. Seventh. The female cultivator hastily said. At this moment, Si Wuya, who had ignored the disturbances outside so far, appeared at the mouth of the cave of reflection. A hint of weariness could be seen on his face as he frowned and asked. What happened to Yong Ning? No matter how cold or heartless Si Wuya was, he could stay idle if Yong Ning was dying. After all, she had been a great help to him. Even if he was without affection for her, he was undoubtedly indebted to her. Si Wuya furrowed his brows as he listened to the female cultivator describing Yong Ning's condition. After a moment of silence, he said, Let me out. Pan Zheng and Zhou Jifeng were taken aback. They were not bold enough to release Si Wuya from the cave of reflection. They could only look at him helplessly. Mr. Seventh, it's not that I don't want to let you out. It's... Let me out, Si Wuya repeated himself. Quote. Based on Si Wuya's expression, Pan Zheng and Zhou Jifeng knew he was determined to leave the cave. The problem was, even if they had the courage of 10 lions, they would never release him. Si Wuya did not have his cultivation base and weapon. It was only natural that he was unable to disregard the barrier like Yu Shangrong did. The atmosphere had grown unbearably tense when a stiff and loud voice rang in the air. Release him. Si Wuya and Zhou Jifeng looked over and saw Duan Musheng hovering above the cave of reflection with his overlord spear in hand. Yes, Mr. Third, Pan Zheng bowed. Shortly after, Si Wuya emerged from the cave of reflection. He looked up Duan Musheng. What shocked Si Wuya was that Duan Musheng seemed to have a much stronger presence than before. His cultivation base was improving quickly. Thank you, third senior brother, Si Wuya said. Duan Musheng shook his head and said, Forgive me for saying this, but what good would come out of poring over that mess of a question? If you have the time, you should be studying the cultivation theory of severing one's golden lotus. If you can contribute to the evil sky pavilion, the others will, naturally, respect you. You wouldn't be where you are right now, powerless to save the woman you love. Si Wuya, quote. He was rendered speechless for a moment. He wanted to retort, but he dismissed that idea when he recalled his third senior brother's fiery temper. In the end, he only said, I'll remember your advice, third senior brother. Go and pay your last respect then. Duan Musheng left through the air after he finished speaking. Last respect. Si Wuya's heart sank. He knew what those words meant, but he did not dare to dwell on it. He hastened toward the southern pavilion. Pan Zheng, Zhou Jifeng, and the others followed closely behind him. Soon after, Si Wuya soon reached the southern pavilion. When little Yuan saw Si Wuya approaching, she went up to meet him. Seventh senior brother, big sister Yong Ning is dying. Zhao Yue pulled little Yuan to the side and said, Don't be too anxious, the 3 elders are here. Zhu Honggong looked at little Yuan and said, Little junior sister, watch your words. The others did not dare to recklessly speak up. Si Wuya looked at the closed doors. He was about to enter when the door opened with a creak. Hua Wudao walked out. Hua Yuxing walked up to him and asked, What's the situation? Hua Wudao sighed and shook his head. She has been stabbed by an energy blade, and it destroyed her internal organs. We should make preparations for her funeral. Upon hearing these words, everyone present there shook their heads and sighed. Si Wuya did not grow agitated. Contrary to everyone's expectations, he remained calm as he recalled the scene where Yong Ning had tried to commit suicide with an energy blade during the battle in Liang Province's city. Yong Ning was smart. She knew that Lu Bing or Xiang Lai would have used her as a hostage. She had willingly stepped forward to stall Xiang Lai so Si Wuya would have time to think of a countermeasure. It was due to this that Si Wuya successfully snuck up on Xiang Lai. She had chosen to end her life so she would not be a burden to Si Wuya. Sometimes, Si Wuya felt that she was foolish to a fault. She could have enjoyed a peaceful life in the palace if she chose to. Why did she insist on getting involved in the affairs of the world? Creak. The door opened again. This time, Pan Lishan walked out. He did not look optimistic as well. He raised the wine gourd in his hand and took a great swig from it. Zhao Yue walked up to him and asked, Elder Pan, what's her condition like? Zhao Yue was Yong Ning's elder sister. After all, she could not help but worry. Pan Lishan shook his head and sighed. I've used half of my primal chi, and yet, I couldn't heal her internal injuries. Judging from the angle of the injury, I think she planned it beforehand. She did not want to die immediately, but she did not want to be rescued either. Was she so willing to endure the pain for an extended time just to have a last look at this world? Old Pan, please don't scare us. Is there nothing else you can do? Pan Zheng asked. Do I look like a liar? Pan Lishan asked. Little Yuaner pulled on the edge of Si Wuya's clothes and said in a hushed voice. Seventh senior brother, let's beg master for help. I'm sure he's able to save sister Yongning. Pan Lishan had a keen hearing. He looked at little Yuaner and said, even an 8-leaf Buddhist elite can't save her now, let alone the pavilion master. What makes you say that? Leng Luo, who had just exited the room, asked, without waiting for a reply from Pan Lishan. He continued to say, well, in any case, Elder Pan and Elder Hua have a point. Everyone looked at Leng Luo. This was the person who was at the top of the blacklist 3 centuries ago. Naturally, his words bore weight. Leng Luo continued to say, this little girl's energy blade is slightly unique. I think it was poisoned, and the toxin corroded her internal organs. It's difficult to detect, and it'd be difficult to treat once the poison sets in. There are 3 Buddhist healing techniques. The merciful arc of salvation, the bright mirror, and the Buddha's shine. None of them can heal this little girl. Si Wuya walked up to Leng Luo and asked, is there no other way? Leng Luo shook his head. You're the evil Sky Pavilion's 7th disciple and are smarter than most. A smart person should be able to understand our words. If you don't believe us, you can go in and take a look. Leng Luo stepped aside. Who would have doubts when the 3 elders of the Old Age Pavilion were so certain? The others shook their heads helplessly. The evil Sky Pavilion disciples had a good impression of Yongning. They could not remain unfeeling as they watched Yongning die. Si Wuya's eyelid twitched. Little Yuaner said again, well, I'm sure master has a way. Come, let's beg master for help. When Hua Wudao saw how insistent little Yuaner was, he nodded. Let's request the pavilion master to come over. Although the chances are slim, we still have to try. You have a point. The pavilion master is skilled in the merciful arc of salvation. Even if he can't save her, he should be able to stabilize her condition for a while. Pan Lishan said, do you think the pavilion master has so much free time? We'd better not disturb him. After all, why would the pavilion master, in his old age, waste his primal chi to save a young lady whom he barely knew? There was a chance he would have to drain his life by healing Yongning. Every bit of primal chi was very precious to someone whose great limit was approaching. The others were engrossed in their discussions when a stern and thunderously loud voice rang from behind. What's all this commotion about? How unbecoming. The others turned to look and saw Lu Zhou walking over with his hands on his back. His expression was calm. Greetings, Pavilion Master. Greetings, Master. Everyone fell silent after they greeted Lu Zhou. Lu Zhou stood in front of everyone and scanned their expression. He frowned slightly when he saw Si Wuya was present as well. The Southern Pavilion is an important place. Traitors should not set foot here. Si Wuya kneeled in fear and trepidation as he pleaded. I beg you to save her. Master, I'm willing to accept any punishment you mete out. When Si Wuya fell to his knees, everyone remained silent. They knew they could intervene even if they wanted to. They could only watch like bystanders. Duan Musheng walked over and fell to one knee before he said, Master, I'm the one who released him. He's indebted to Princess Yongning. I didn't think much about it. All I wanted was to give him a chance to say goodbye. Lu Zhou stroked his beard and nodded as he swept his gaze across everyone. He was inwardly shocked when he saw how exhausted Si Wuya looked. He did not expect a mathematical question would torment Si Wuya to this extent. Based on this, he could see how tenacious Si Wuya was. After a moment, Lu Zhou looked at the 3 elders of the Old Age Pavilion and asked, what's her condition? Hua Wudao, Leng Luo, and Pan Lishan gave the diagnoses to Lu Zhou. After getting a grasp of the current situation, Lu Zhou was certain he knew what was happening. Currently, he had 2 critical heal cards and 2 strengthened critical heal cards. It should not be a problem if he wanted to save her. However, he would not easily save her. He asked, "Are you begging me?" Si Wuya prostrated himself and said, "I beg that you help her. Master, even if there's only a slim chance. Please save her life. Give me one reason why I should save her." Lu Zhou said, quote. Lu Zhou's words stunned Si Wuya and the others. "Considering that I'm your master, I think I've fulfilled all my moral obligations by helping you survive that mess in Liang province. Moreover, you're a traitor, and yet, you dare to treat me in such a manner. If I don't preserve my own dignity, I'd be too ashamed to show myself in public." Si Wuya was not stupid. Naturally, he understood his master's words. How could he say his master should help Yongning because he was his master? Was that not akin to slapping his own face? It seemed like there was no reason for his master to save Yongning, nor was his master obligated to save her. After thinking about it, he finally said, "What are your conditions, master?" Lu Zhou did not answer Si Wuya's question directly. Instead, he walked to the room. The others made way for him. "It's too early for that. All three elders have said that she's beyond help. If that's the case, it'll be meaningless for you to beg me." When he finished speaking, he opened the door and entered the room. Si Wuya rose to his feet immediately and respectfully followed Lu Zhou into the room. The others waited outside. After walking past the screen inside the room, Lu Zhou and Si Wuya saw Princess Yongning lying on the bed with her eyes closed. She looked frail, and her lips had cracked from dryness. Si Wuya frowned when he saw this. His thoughts were complicated and difficult to put into words. Lu Zhou stroked his beard and lightly shook his head. "What does this little girl see in you? Why is she willing to go to such lengths?" As he looked at Yongning lying on the bed, unconscious, Si Wuya felt that it was getting increasingly hard to breathe. It felt as though a heavy weight was pressing down on his chest. He kept recalling scenes from the past. They had watched the moon and snow together, finished each other's poems, discussed events of the past and present. Perhaps, it was due to his lack of experience when he was growing up. He was a blank slate and rather obtuse when it came to women. However, when realization dawned on him, it was already too late. Things never turned out the way one expected them to. One could rarely act according to one's wish inside the palace. Si Wuya did not think he was romantically invested in Yongning. However, when he recalled how Yongning had disregarded everything, including her own life, for him, he could not act as though he was unaware. His master was right. What did he do to deserve someone giving up their life for him? Lu Zhou walked up to the bed and checked Yongning's pulse. In just a moment, he completed his examination. Indeed, it was as the three elders had said. The energy blade had damaged her internal organs. According to his initial judgment, if the injury had been dealt by an ordinary energy blade, all she needed was to rest and recuperate. However, it seemed like her energy blade had corrosive properties as well, resulting in her current condition. Her injury and the poison had taken a toll on her. Lu Zhou straightened his back and stroked his beard as he said, "She can still be saved." Si Wuya was ecstatic. He was about to kneel and plead again when Lu Zhou asked, "Do you really have no idea where the memory crystal is?" "Rongshi or Rongbei, since the day I returned to the Evil Sky Pavilion, every word I have spoken is the truth. If there's any lie, I will be struck by lightning," Si Wuya said. After all, Ji Tiandao was the one who sealed the memory crystal. It was indeed improbable for the others to know where it was. "Your plan for the battle at Liang province was meticulous. If Yu Zhenghai was there, the Nether sect would have won. I'm curious why Yu Zhenghai wasn't there," Lu Zhou asked. "According to the original plan, eldest senior brother was supposed to show up. Then, I thought of the variables and decided to take precautionary measures. Xiang Lai can be considered one of the greatest variables. So long as nothing happens to eldest senior brother, the Nether sect will win sooner or later," Si Wuya said. "Do you think that Yu Zhenghai has the means to take down the divine capital?" Lu Zhou asked. "There's no need to take down the divine capital. Are you that confident?" Si Wuya was slightly taken aback. However, he said, "Lu Gu is an incompetent ruler. It's only fitting for us to march against him." Incompetent ruler? Lu Zhou had never concerned himself with the palace. Back then, when he came acquainted with Emperor Yongshou, he found Emperor Yongshou to be capable enough even if he was not the best emperor. Why did Lu Gu turn out to be an incompetent ruler? After Lu Gu ascended the throne, he never attended any of the court sessions and never cared to govern the empire. He has been researching the secrets of life and the nine-leaf stage all this while. He's the true mastermind behind the disappearance of the fair folks, Si Wuya said. Lu Zhou frowned. Si Wuya continued to say, there are records stating that riding on Cheng Huang can allow one to live to 2.00 years old. To search for Cheng Huang, Lu Gulu massacred the people of Fish Dragon Village and drowned the village in blood. After that, he fished the corpses from the bottom of the river for a decade in search of Cheng Huang. To find the secret of the nine-leaf stage, he went as far as laying down 10 terminal formations in many cities and experimented on cultivators alive, killing them in the process. He was the one who ordered the Black Knights to attack Upper Prime City. Leng Luo was with the Black Knight once, and he can verify this. Also, the 30.000 floating corpses of civilians in Nine Chun River. That's enough, Lu Zhou interjected. He knew what Si Wuya was trying to say. Si Wuya was trying to emphasize how cruel, brutal, and incompetent Lu Gu was. He could tell as much from the battle at the Obedient Villa the other day. There was no need to convince him further. Lu Gu was not affected in the least by the death of the second prince, Lu Huan. It was clear how cruel and heartless Lu Gu was. Are you trying to be the great hero who brings about a great change in the world? Lu Zhou asked. I don't have such grand ambitions. That's what eldest senior brother has in mind. I merely wish to understand one thing, Si Wuya said. And what is that? Lu Zhou looked at Si Wuya indifferently. Si Wuya looked up and said at a moderate speed, I want to know why the Great Yan's imperial family remains in power for so long. Also, I want to know the secrets of the Great Yan's imperial family as well. Lu Zhou frowned again. He thought Si Wuya would mention Yu Zhenghai somewhere in his answer. Or perhaps, something about the memory crystal. He did not expect Si Wuya to be focused on the imperial family. Was that the reason why Si Wuya entered the palace as a grand tutor? Why would Si Wuya have such strange thoughts? Si Wuya seemed to know Lu Zhou would be baffled by this as he said. The 8-leaf stage and 10 terminal formations aren't enough. He paused before saying, if you don't believe me, I can have someone from the Darknet deliver the core information here. Lu Zhou said, even if you find your answer, what then? At this moment, Yongning suddenly launched into a coughing fit. Upon seeing this, Si Wuya kowtowed and urgently said, please save her, master. Lu Zhou stroked his beard and said, I'm the only one under the heavens who can save her. He raised a palm. A critical heal card appeared in his palm. He turned his palm down, and a tidal wave of power entered Yongning's body like willow strands. A critical heal card had a 30% healing effect. Merciful Ark of Salvation. Si Wuya observed this scene, slightly shocked. However, when he recalled his master had summoned a 100-foot golden Buddha body in Liang Province's city, he felt it was natural that his master was skilled in this healing method as well. At this moment, he recalled his eldest senior brother's words from some time ago. At that time, he was skeptical and uncertain. However, at this moment, he was growing increasingly certain that his master might have found a way to overcome the great limit. Otherwise, how could his master, whose great limit is near, be able to unleash abandoned wisdom with one hand and defeat Xiang Lai with a single strike? How could his master kill Kong Xuan with a single slash on Runan's holy altar? As he looked at the power that continued to heal Yongning, his eyes were brimming with shock. After a moment, Lu Zhou retracted his palm when he was done with the treatment. According to his calculations, this card should be enough to preserve her life. All she had to do was to rest and recuperate. Yongning coughed, still unconscious. Blood began to trickle from the edge of her lips. Lu Zhou found this strange. He stooped and checked her pulse again. He sent some primal qi into Yongning's internal organs. Meanwhile, the others waited outside the room in the southern pavilion. Zhao Yue was pacing restlessly. Fifth senior sister, you should stop and rest. It won't do if you overexert yourself. Zhu Honggong said. Shut up, Zhao Yue snapped. Shutting up now. At this moment, the quiet Hua Yuxing said, I remember seeing Princess Yongning inside the palace before. She has a good temper and is a humble person who loves peace. Why would she be used as someone else's pawn? She shook her head and sighed. Hua Wudao said, "It's impossible for a person to be free from such things within the palace walls. You've stayed there for a year. Weren't you nearly dragged into Mo Li's fight as well?" "You're right, Elder Hua. All I can say is that the heavens are cruel to her." Hua Wudao sighed. "Is there nothing else we can do? The outcome is too bleak. Once the poison permeates her internal organs, it's not something that can be overcome with a profound cultivation base alone." Hua Wudao said. At this moment, Pan Lishan, who had been drinking by the side, said, "Perhaps, a cultivator with godly healing skills could keep her alive for some time." Leng Luo glanced at Pan Lishan and said, "Old Pan, it's rare that I find myself agreeing with you." When the three elders of the old age pavilion were so certain, the others definitely did not doubt them. It seemed like Yongning was destined to die. It was a hard pill to swallow. Little Yuaner looked at the three of them and said contemptuously, "Sister Yongning is pretty. She won't die, I'm sure of it." The three elders did not argue with the little girl. "If looks determine one's life, I would have been invincible when I was young. Can't Master do something?" Xiao Yue found it difficult to accept the reality. Healing and killing are two completely different acts. Just like this brick. Hua Wudao raised a hand. A brick nearby flew into his palm. He wrapped his energy around it. Bam! The brick exploded into pieces. Hua Wudao kept him afloat with his energy and drew them toward his palm. This display fascinated his audience. This was a great test of a cultivator's control over his own power. Hua Wudao pieced the pieces together into the shape of a brick, displaying his precise control. The others seemed to understand what Hua Wudao was trying to say. Once the brick was shattered, even if a cultivator had a profound cultivation base, it was virtually impossible to restore the brick to its original form. A brick was a crude example. Even with precise control, he could only maintain its shape. Hua Wudao suddenly clenched his hand. Crack! The pieces of the brick fell to the ground. "Do you understand now?" "Understood. Thank you for the lesson," Xiao Yue said. Leng Luo and Pan Lishan did not even watch Hua Wudao showing off. They were looking at the door. Instead, after the explanations given by the three elders, the others seemed defeated. Their heads hung low, and they seemed dispirited. Lu Zhou injected some of his primal qi into Yongning's body again. He was sure the critical heal card he used moments ago had healed 30% of her injuries. However, the strange thing was the energy scattered in her body again and began to eat away at the healed organs. What a peculiar energy. No way. I bragged about my own abilities earlier. Is it turning back to bite me now? Lu Zhou remembered his strengthened critical heal cards. Would the energy spread and corrode Yongning's organs if they were not treated in one go? This meant the strengthened critical heal card would be useless as well. Where was he supposed to look for a critical heal card with a 100% heal rate? He was frustrated. "Master," Si Wuya called out in confusion when he saw his master lost in thoughts. This pulled Lu Zhou back to the present. He stroked his beard and said, "Stay outside." "Yes, Master." Si Wuya turned around and obediently left the room. Lu Zhou flipped his palm. Yongning sat up straight. Lu Zhou's cultivation base was only in the divine court realm. He used all of his primal qi to suppress her injuries and tried to think of a way. After a while, he sent his primal qi into her body again through his palm. His primal qi flowed into her meridian vessels like a stream of water. With the supply of primal qi, Yongning seemed to feel better. Lu Zhou increased the flow of primal qi. At this moment, he suddenly felt the unique power in Yongning's internal organs rushing toward his primal qi. It was as though it was blocking his primal qi from entering her body. "The power of a talisman seal. The Celestial Masters sect," Lu Zhou murmured. He tapped her with his finger. The battle in Liang Province's city had been too chaotic. He did not even see how Yongning used her energy blade. He did not expect Yongning to use the Celestial Masters sect's talisman seal. He would be hard-pressed to deal with a talisman seal with his divine court realm cultivation base. Moreover, he had almost depleted his supply of primal qi. Just when he was about to remove his palm, the power of the talisman seal ate away at his primal qi in the opposite direction of her meridian vessels. Lu Zhou instinctively circulated the heavenly writing scroll's power. The golden radiance immediately turned blue as it swirled in his palm. This time, unfamiliar scripts appeared in Lu Zhou's mind, visiting many places without having to move, and reaping many benefits in return. This was the power of incorporeal existence. A heavenly writing power. Lu Zhou instinctively moved his palm. He merely wanted to fight the power of the talisman seal. Hence, he did not use much of his extraordinary power. He merely used 1/10 of his full capacity. Blue lotuses appeared in his palms. The blue lotuses shone brilliantly. His palm brimmed with life. The power of the talisman seal was instantly crushed by the blue lotuses. Shortly after, the blue lotuses sunk into Yongning's body before they suddenly expanded. The blue lotuses grew. 1 meter, 2 meters, 3 meters, 10 meters. They radiated into the surroundings. It seemed as though they had taken root in the southern pavilion before spreading out. Swoosh! At this moment, some of the withered plants in pots around the southern pavilion's hall began to sprout leaves and flowers. Surprising everyone. What happened? Look at the potted plants.